You guys good?
Yeah.
Everybody good? All right. At this time, we'll call the November 18th, 2024 Planning Board meeting to order. We have quorum, so if everybody will please stand for the pledge. And look that way this time. Oh, turns us up. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. At this time, we'll move into item 2A, approval of the meeting minutes from the October 21st, 2024 Planning Board meeting. Does anybody have any comments or changes or questions on it? I have one thing I'd like to add to it. Even on page 3, where it talks about orphan roads and it says an unfair burden on developer, I think I'd like, we did talk about not just only the developers, but that it was an unfair burden on the existing property owners that owned land that would be kind of subject to having that put on them, and it's like they had no input on that. So I think that's important to add in those minutes so everybody reads it and doesn't think that we just thought, oh, poor developers, because that's not really what the discussion was about. And then I don't know if it's worth asking in here or adding in here, but it says on page 4, ultimately the board decided to recommend removal of the orphan road provision. That was something that I think we talked about, and Jim, I think you said, why don't we just move that out, and then we agreed to do that. I don't know if that needs to be clarified or if it's fine to just leave it like it is. So that was
whatever the pleasure of the board would be.
Okay, those are the only 2 corrections I had. If anybody else have any more corrections.
So you want me on page 4, removal of orphan roads corrected to?
I would think it would say upon recommendation from staff, the board decided to recommend.
Okay.
And since I made the corrections, I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes from the October 21st, 24 meeting.
With
Have a
those
second?
changes.
Those changes.
With those changes, yeah. We have a second. Any discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right. This time we'll move into our public hearing section of the agenda tonight. Public hearings are a time for petitioners to present requests and for the public to state their concerns and voice opinions in favor of or in opposition of these requests. If you intend to speak, please make sure that you have signed in on the public hearing sign-in sheet at the podium. Please clearly state your name and address and whether you are for or against the request for the record. Please limit your comments to only 3 minutes in order for all that wish to speak to be heard in a timely manner. At this point, we'll move into item 4A, zoning map amendment and land use plan amendment, Thomas H. Johnson, Jr., William Mullen, 5727-5733 and 5803 Hilltop Road, PIN 0687293420, 0687292136, and 0687280920 REZ 2024-11. Further information provided by staff.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Board. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official record of the town. The first item before you tonight is RAZ 2024-11. This rezoning is a total of 14.33 acres from the residential agricultural zoning district to the office and institutional zoning district. Also accompanying this rezoning is a request for a land use plan amendment from the single family neighborhood and open space designations to the civic and institutional and open space designations. Staff's recommendation is as follows. Staff recommends approval of the proposed zoning map amendment and corresponding land use plan amendment as they are reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the following reasons. Number 1, although the requested zoning map amendment is not consistent with the 2040 community vision land use plan classification of single family neighborhood and open space, the petitioner has opted to request a change of the land use plan to civic and institutional and open space, which is compatible with the existing use of the properties. Number 2, the requested zoning district supports the LUP's policy 2.6, encourage commercial development. Number 3, the requested zoning district supports the LUP's policy 7.9, position Fuquay-Varina for place-based tourism. And number 4, the proposed conditions offered as part of the petition align with the goals of the 2040 LUP and effectively plan for future development potential of the site. The petitioner is here tonight, and I am also available to answer any questions.
All right. Anybody have any questions for staff before we open the public hearing?
Nope.
Looks like we're good.
All right.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Thank you.
All right. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Eva, do we have anybody signed up wish to speak for this case?
Tom Johnson.
My name's Tom Johnson. I'm with the firm of Williams Mullen at 301 Fayetteville Street, Suite 1700 in Raleigh. And I am the petitioner on behalf of the property owner. And I'm just available to answer any questions you may have other than what's in the packet.
Okay.
We worked with staff over a while and got the conditions in good shape before they came before you.
We have any questions for petitioner? Looks like we're good. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Eva, we got anybody else?
We do not.
We do not. Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to speak that didn't get a chance to sign up? All right. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion.
I have a quick question on the, there's a greenway section. What's the status of that as far as this committed, since we do have a survey map on it, are they going to be responsible for completing that?
So that would be triggered by a site plan. So it is
Right.
basically
yeah.
an existing use as a banquet facility and moving forward in the future. And I believe that's one of the conditions as well, is that the greenway, a public greenway, would be constructed and dedicated with any future site plan.
Right, and that's, I just wanted to make sure that that was my understanding. And then also, that greenway needs to cross the railroad, right?
Yes, and obviously we'll deal with that when we need
Okay.
to deal with that.
Well, it's one of those things, if you deal with it when you deal with it, you're gonna be waiting a long time before you make that connection.
Yeah.
So, the sooner that we can get on that, the better, just saying. Thank you. That's all I have.
Is that something that would hold them up on site plan if they can't get across the railroad?
No, because I mean, they are
Oh, yeah,
responsible for
They're
building
not
their
actually
section of
responsible
it.
for that section, right? But it's like,
Just want to make sure we.
you know, if they go through the
Right.
effort of that, well, obviously the town's gonna be on the
Right,
hook for.
and one of the issues obviously too is that while, yes, that's a green dashed line on the map, we don't know exactly the route of
Right,
what
that
that
looks like a
like.
pretty wet area right along Terrible Creek there. It might be, I didn't go and look at
Right,
the
and-
property myself, but it might
Right.
be pretty challenging to put, lay some asphalt.
Right, and just like our roads on the CTP, it's kind of get to A to B, so.
Right, right. Yeah, at first when I saw that, I was like, they're not putting a road, and I said, oh, that's a greenway, so, but yeah, you're right. So, yeah, but just keeping that in mind for everyone.
Any more questions, concerns, or?
Just one question out of curiosity. Why did this come after the completion of the project as opposed to before?
So this is a multi-step process. They originally came in, banquet halls are a permitted use in a residential zoning district with a special use permit. So they initially did get an approved special use permit to operate in a residential zoning district. But then they realized that they could also operate as a bona fide farm. So they went through the process to demonstrate that they qualified as a bona fide farm, which no zoning was applicable. And so they actually, it was not required, but they actually got building permits for the new structure and the conversion of the existing structure, and permitted those through the bona fide farm system. The next step is they wanted access to our water, and so they annexed.
Got it.
And once you annex, you no longer qualify as a bona fide farm, so the logical thing was to, tie it up with a bow and rezone it to the appropriate zoning,
Yeah.
which is where we are today.
Understood. I was just curious.
Good question. Any more questions? Or anybody willing to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of RAZ-2024-11, a zoning map amendment at 5727, 5733, and 5803 Hilltop Road from the Residential Agriculture RA zoning district to the Office and Institutional Conditional Zoning District O&I CZD, and the corresponding land use plan amendment from the Single Family Neighborhood SFN and Open Space OS classifications to the Civic and Institutional CIV and Open Space OS classifications, as is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by staff.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion before vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item 4B, zoning map amendment. Jason, I'm gonna probably butcher this, but I'm gonna try my best. Garlino at Gala Construction LLC, 410 Wade Street, pin 066 6158757, REZ 2024-15. Further information provided by staff.
Alrighty, thank you, Mr. Chair. Once again, I'm submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official record of the town. The second item before you tonight is REZ 2024-15. This rezoning is a total of 0.11 acres from the residential low-density zoning district to the town center residential zoning district. Staff's recommendation is as follows. Staff recommends approval of the proposed zoning map amendment as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the following reasons. Number one, the requested zoning map amendment is consistent with the 2040 Community Vision Land Use Plan designation of Town Center Residential. Number two, the requested zoning district is complementary to the residential uses in the general vicinity. Number three, the requested zoning district supports infill development and reinvestment in downtown neighborhoods per the 2040 LUP's Policy 2.1. Encourage infill development and redevelopment inside town limits. The requested zoning district supports the creation of a variety of housing types per the 2040 LUP's Policy 4.1, manage future growth and development in accordance with the priority infrastructure investment map. The petitioner is here tonight, and I am also available to answer any questions.
All right, we have any questions for staff before we open up the public hearing? Good to go again.
Alrighty.
All right, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Eva, do we have anybody signed up to speak for this case?
We do not.
We do not. All right, that makes life a little bit easier. Is anyone here that wished to speak that did not sign up? Okay, at this point, we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. Any discussion, questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a question. On this, it looks like there's a proposed parking pad as part of the plan that's outside of the area we're zoning. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, so right now, hold on.
They own both.
So
Okay,
it's
if
kind of
you-
interesting to see.
Yeah, so if you look at the aerial, the adjacent property is parking on this lot. You see that car that's
Yeah.
parked in there? So basically what they're doing is they're putting in a proposed shared driveway.
Ah.
And because this technically qualifies as a row home,
Right.
it has parking in the rear. So
Right.
what they're doing is they're putting a shared driveway in, and then they're gonna purchase, the owner of this property owns both lots
Okay. Yeah, we're
next
right.
door. So they can put in a parking pad on the rear. So basically, they're gonna take the parking that right now they're doing on this lot, and they're gonna shift it to the rear of that house.
Okay. And then driveways access, so accesses both
Mhm.
lots can access the back. for
Exactly.
parking. Okay. Yeah, it was interesting just to see something not in our zoning that's on the, so I don't, what's the zoning of that next, the lot next door? And does it matter?
It doesn't matter. It's RLD. It's an existing.
It's an
House, so-
existing, so they're just upgrading their, then,
They're just changing where they park.
Growing, yeah.
Yep.
yeah, I put in a parking pad where I am too. I didn't need to get a permit for it.
Kind of cleans it up there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I was just kind of curious as how far that was going. I have no more questions.
Anybody have any questions, concerns? Anybody ready to make a motion?
Motion to recommend approval of REZ 2024-15, a zoning map amendment for 410 Wade Street from residential low density RLD zoning district to the town center residential TCR zoning district as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by staff.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion before we vote? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are done with the public hearing section tonight. We will move into item 5A, the 2025 Planning Board meeting schedule. The purpose of this agenda is to consider setting the Planning Board's regular meeting schedule for the 2025 calendar year. As we know, the first meeting of the year has been moved to accommodate the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, and the new calendar reflects that. So we don't have any presentation by staff. We just need a motion to approve the calendar.
Motion to adopt the proposed 2025 meeting schedule for the Town of Fuquay-Varina Planning Board.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we'll go to item 6A, the planning staff report. The purpose of this agenda item is to receive information on the disposition of the planning board's recommendations to the town board of commissioners since the October 2024 planning board meeting. Any questions for staff on this one? Look like we're still batting 1,000. All right. Got anything else? Barbara, I think it's your time to shine.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion?
Second.
And 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.